Hello and welcome to the official Haters Euro 2024 Daily Show. I'm your host, Freddie Walker, and joining me today, we have Nina Hirstova and Raf Tyndale. So the group stage games are over, but we'll still be bringing you exclusive training clips, interviews and reports from our team out on the ground in Germany. So with that, let's get on with the show. So the early kickoffs yesterday were between Belgium and Ukraine, and Romania versus Slovakia. The latter knew that if they got a draw, that they would both qualify for the knockouts. And of course, it was a 1-1 draw between Slovakia and Romania. So, Nina, do you think there was anything suspicious going on there, or was it just a tightly fought contest?
I mean, I think you can say that both teams heading into that game they needed a point. That's really was quite enough for them to proceed through. So I think a draw was quite fine. And obviously there was a lot of speculation before the game, but I mean, it was early done, you know, it was a goal early on from Slovakia and then a penalty from Romania. So yeah, it's an interesting one.
It was an interesting one. And Raf, did you see Romania and Slovakia both making it out that group? Were you impressed with them?
Yeah, definitely impressed with both of the sides. I mean, I think Romania obviously had that big win against Ukraine in their opening game. Slovakia performed very well as well. Yeah, I mean, I think there's quite a few players you can pick out from both sides, and I think, yeah, hats off to them.
Well, we saw Razvan Marin obviously get the penalty, and what a penalty it was, by the way. So we've got his stats from the game here. Minutes played, 86, goals, 1. Shots, 3 in total, 2 on target. Successful dribbles, 1. Long balls, 2. Duels, 1, 6. Duels, 1, but had 6 duels, so actually lost quite a few there. And a service score rating of 7.1. He didn't score all season for Empoli and Serie A, but he's scored 2 at the Euros so far. Do you think he's Romania's standout player from the tournament so far, Raf, or is there someone else?
I think they have quite a few standout players. I mean, I think Dennis Mann has been one of the danger men, for Romania. I think, yeah. So he before yesterday's game, he'd started 5 open play sequences that had led to goals. Second only to Kroos and Kimmich, who are obviously playing for a much better team. And then I think Radu Dragusin has also been very impressive. Obviously, I'm going to be a little bit biased towards him, but you know, he's put his name on the map. But I think all in all, Romania as a team, as a collective, have been very impressive. So I think, yeah, Netherlands might have a game on their hands.
And Nina, if you're getting a penalty in the Euros, where's the perfect place to slot it? Where are you slotting a penalty?
Bottom left corner.
why the bottom left?
I just think it's the best one. And okay. Lewandowski scored a bottom left the other day.
Fair enough. Raf, where are you going?
For me, it's Panenka all day, Freddie. You know, got to have the confidence. Well, I mean,
yeah. Well, I think I'd be going down the middle as well. But I'm not sure I'm Panenka it. I don't think I have the nerve for that. But there were a record 16 penalties awarded at Euro 2020. 9 have been awarded so far in the group stage at this tournament. So can we expect in the knockout stages there to be a lot more penalties when there's a lot more on the line? People make bad decisions and give away a foul in the box?
I mean, if they're giving them as easily as Georgia versus Portugal yesterday, I think definitely. But yeah, I mean, as you say, you know, people get teams get a bit desperate. So especially towards the end of the games when they're, you know, looking to be going out. So I think we can definitely see quite a few penalties in the knockout rounds.
I would personally argue that there should be 10 in the group stages, 10 penalties that have been given because Scotland got robbed. I will say it again.
You're still holding on to
I am still holding on to it. I'm still upset. But in Group E, we also saw a lackluster performance from Belgium when they played against Ukraine. Ukraine gave it their all, but ultimately it just wasn't enough. So here's what Belgium manager Tedesco had to say on their journey to the stadium that may have affected their performance.
As we arrived here, or how we arrived here at the stadium, I never saw this before. We took from our hotel around 1 hour with the police escort, no blue light. The road was completely free. They slowed down 20, 25 kilometers per hour. Every red traffic light, we stopped. At the end, I had a speech of 2 minutes. Nothing. Warm up, we had to reduce. For me, it's unbelievable. it's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable.
Excuses, Raf. What is that from him? That seems like quite a way out to explain away a bad performance.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it reminds me of that clip of that Arsenal fan saying it was raining, as if it wasn't raining for both teams. But I mean, we don't know about the Ukrainian trip to the game because the manager didn't think to mention it because it's not really that relevant. So I think, excuses. Obviously, they didn't play well. He's going to find any way to try and make up for that. But yeah,
I don't know about you, Nina, but that gives me kind of Mikel Arteta, it's a disgrace vibes, that press conference.
I would agree.
Yeah, what do you think he's doing there? Is that does he have a valid point that he only gets 2 minutes to do a team talk?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
I mean, a team of Belgium status, they absolutely have to be performing better. And I think it's fair to say that it's been a disappointing performance at the group stages. You're talking about a team that won all 3 games at the previous Euro tournament. They were very direct, scored goals, and ultimately it's been quite underwhelming. Something's not quite clicking for me, particularly moving forward. And that end sort of final decision seems to be lacking, and it's really been costing them. So you do worry about them moving forward.
Well, on a positive note for Belgium, La Liga's Golden Boot winner Dovbyk was kept quiet by 37-year-old Jan Vertonghen. We've got his stats from yesterday's game. So minutes played 90, clearances 2, aerial duels 1, 3 out of 5. Very accurate passing, 58 from 63. A lot of touches, 71, and a decent serve score rating of 6.9. Raf, you're obviously a Tottenham fan, and you know Jan Vertonghen well.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that you think of him, and how his tournament's been so far?
I mean, he's still at this stage one of the most important players for Belgium. He's obviously very experienced. Obviously, he's got a lot of know-how, and as we could see from his stats there from the SofaScore graphic, he had an incredible game keeping the La Liga Golden Boot winner quiet, which is quite a feat at his age. And he was such an important player with Spurs. I think they've only just truly replaced him and Alderweireld with Christian Romero, Mickey van der Ven, that sort of that partnership that works really well. I think my favorite moment of him in his Spurs shirt was that last gasp winner versus Wolves, and he did like the Super Jan celebration. But I mean, I think he's, as much as people will question his age, his lack of pace, maybe he's not necessarily as on the ball as he used to be. I think he's an incredibly important player for Belgium, and they need a bit of know-how. They need someone who's got a bit of experience that can lead them through, because at the moment they look an absolute mess.
Yeah, they don't look strong at all. But partner in Vertonghen at the back was Leicester's Wout Faes, who has looked a little out of place in the tournament so far, hasn't looked too strong. Just how big of a drop-off are we seeing in this Belgian team when you have players like Kompany, Alderweireld, Vertonghen's still there, but, a really, really strong defence? How much has this team dropped off in the last few years?
I would say there's quite a stark difference, certainly, and the numbers do reflect that. Conceding, we talk about how disjointed they've been moving forward, but there are some errors and some holes at the back as well that have been ultimately giving opposition chances. And, you look at Vertonghen, you look at Faes, and you worry about them coming up against someone like Kylian Mbappe, because obviously Dovbyk has been a phenomenal talent, but he's a lot younger. Someone like Mbappe, who knows how to get in behind, who has got pace for days as well, could really cause them problems. So, yeah, you worry on both ends with Belgium, really.
Yeah, that's a scary prospect for Wout Faes versus Mbappe. Not ideal. Belgium certainly haven't looked like the 3rd best team in the world, which is the ranking that they came into the tournament with. We also looked at Romelu Lukaku. Obviously, he's got a great goal scoring record for Belgium, but so far it just hasn't seemed to work out from at Euro 2024. We've got his stats on screen here. So matches played 3, goals 0. You mentioned earlier, Nina, 3 disallowed goals. He's got expected goals 1.67, and then he does have 1 assist, to be fair to him. Shots on target 2.33. Big chances missed 6. That is pretty Lukaku. If I am being quite harsh, but that is very Lukaku to be missing big chances. And then a SofaScore rating, which is quite poor, of 6.67. So yeah, what have you thought of him so far this tournament, Nina?
Yeah, below par, I think, for Lukaku. You talk about him for Belgium being such a, a prolific striker, bagging them goals. And I mean, ultimately, you have to be quite unlucky, right? To have 3 offside goals, luck does play into it a little bit. But you look at the chances, and as you mentioned, the conversion rate is quite disappointing, really. Kevin De Bruyne fed him an absolutely amazing ball yesterday. He pretty much from close range didn't manage to connect quite with it, but you expect more from a player of Lukaku's status. So I don't really know quite what he's having for.
You're obviously a Chelsea fan as well,
Yeah.
Nina. So what do you want Chelsea to do with him?
I really want Chelsea to move him on. I think I speak on behalf of every Chelsea fan that it's time for Romelu Lukaku to really go. And I mean, last season he said he's still got, 1 more year in Europe in him. He didn't really want to move to Saudi. I think maybe he's a bit more open to it, hopefully. Saudi have helped us now in the last kind of couple years. So I'm hoping maybe that's going to be the case. But it's a tricky one because I thought maybe this tournament elevates that price tag a little bit more, but quite unsure now.
How much do you think you could get for him?
Well, it's tricky, really, because obviously to secure the full value of the 38 million release clause, you worry who's going to pay it. Potentially Roma looking actually at Lukaku as a prospect of replacing Victor Osimhen now. I think Conte is quite a fan, so hopefully, I mean, we'll see with that.
Would you take him at Spurs, Raf?
I would not take him at Spurs. No. We've already got one slightly hot and cold striker in Richarlison, so I wouldn't want to replace him with Lukaku.
Fair enough. Well, we've discussed Belgium, but we also heard from Ukrainian manager REBROV after the game.
I told that we are on the tournament is very important for our country. We represent, and I think for last 2 matches, no any questions about the working, about the character of the players. I think we show the character of our nation. We are nearly 900 days in the war. And I think today was very important to show the people in Europe, to show our people in Ukraine that we are still fighting. We need the support of Europe, and we are part of Europe. I think this is very important for us to be represented here. And unfortunately, we didn't do well first game, but this is like in life.
So we hear him refer to the first game there, Raf. What did you think of Ukraine as a whole in the tournament?
I think they're quite unlucky. I mean, they're the first team in history to finish 4th while on 4 points. They got a win and a draw, that famous 4 points that Steve Clarke always referred to. That was Scotland's aim. But I mean, yeah, I think that first game really sort of didn't do them well. And then yesterday it seemed almost as if they thought they would go through with a draw. They left it too little too late, had an XG of 0.73, and I don't really think they looked like they were going to score. So yeah, I mean, I think they'll definitely be disappointed, but we can't write off the performances of Slovakia and of Romania. So I mean, yeah.
In a game, Nina, that you need to win, Raf just mentioned the XG there of 0.73. Is that just not good enough from Ukraine when you need to win a game and you're not really creating anything?
Absolutely. And I think this is the game where they really should have gone for it and really just come out their shells, take those shots outside the box, really try and trouble Belgium at the end of the day, because that really is what was needed to get them over the line. But I just think that first thrashing against Romania probably set them off a bit of a bad start. But they had so much individual talents coming into this competition. I mean, we mentioned earlier someone like Dovbyk, who should be scoring goals. I mean, it's just not really worked out for him at this tournament as we all kind of hoped, maybe expected. But actually, this is the first group ever to see all teams win 1, draw 1, lose 1, which is quite an interesting fact.
Mental.
So yeah,
it was a mental one. And speaking of someone in that group, we heard from Belgium's key man KDB after the game as well.
Zina is an unbelievable guy. I played with him for I think 5 years, and he's done an incredible job for us at City. And then obviously he went to Arsenal, and he's doing really good. I think he's one of the leaders of Ukraine. He's a close friend, and I wish him all the best. In the end, it's a football game. We wanted Belgium to go through, and we know that Ukraine had to be out if we wanted to go through.
So we heard from Kevin De Bruyne there speaking on his relationship with Zinchenko. Nina, what did you think about Zinchenko not starting that game after he had a very, very good performance in the second game for Ukraine?
Yeah, he did, and he assisted, didn't he, for Shaparenko's goal. I think he had probably one of the highest rated performances for that Ukrainian side against Slovakia. So it was a bit of a question as to why he chose to drop him for this game. Obviously, Mykolenko got some minutes as well, but I think Zinchenko would have been disappointed to be dropped for that game, certainly.
Surprise you as well, Raf?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, he is one of the leaders of that team. Obviously, he's he's very experienced at club and international level. So I think, yeah, bit of an odd decision, and I don't think it played out quite as the manager would have hoped.
Do we currently have any comments coming through, Raf?
We do. We have a couple people showing quite a lot of love to Romania. We have St. James D and Cameron Lee both saying that they back St. James D says he backs Romania to win the tournament, and Cameron Lee has gone a little bit more conservative, saying he's got a feeling they could cause the Dutch some problems. I know we're going to touch on the round of 16 in a little bit. And then we've got NI saying, can't believe nobody's tipping England. They have a bye to the final, which we will also touch on. And he's told us to get behind King Gareth as NI. So we will try our best to do that here at HaytersTV.
Okay, well, let's just finish off the conversation about the group stages. So Portugal obviously took on Georgia, whilst Turkey took on the Czech Republic. Czech Republic had to win to reach the knockout round. It was a tough task against a good Turkey team, and it was made tougher when Antonin Barak was sent off after just 20 minutes. Did you think it was a red card, Raf?
Yes, I think the first tackle was a definite yellow. Any moment of the game, that's going to be given a yellow card. And the second one, I think he should be a little bit more careful. But obviously I think he does get a bit of the ball, but he obviously leaves a lot on Ozcan, the Turkish player there. And I think the referee's made a good decision. I think, if he wasn't already on a yellow, it would have been that second tackle would have been a yellow. So I mean, yeah.
Fair enough. Nina, same for you. Do you think it's harsh or?
I think it's a little bit harsh with that second yellow, but I think, in this situation, Barak really should know better. You get booked so early on into the game. It's to go in for a challenge, not to make fastest spread in Euro history as well, which is quite interesting. I'm sure that's not the stat he really wanted to have in that game, but yeah, it's disappointing. He will be unhappy with that.
Well, obviously Turkey took it late on with a goal from former Everton man Cenk Tosun, and then chaos ensued. Czech Republic got another red card after the whistle went. But overall, were you disappointed with the Czech Republic in this tournament? Did you expect a bit more from them?
I did expect a little bit more. I think there was a bit of a lack of quality in some of the games. And again, I'd praise them for giving Portugal a bit of a tough time in that opening fixture. A lot of people got sort of blamed Portugal in that game, but I think it was a testament to Czech Republic defending very well. But ultimately, you can't really say it's been a great sort of a group stage display from them.
Yeah, I mean, they were drawn in a group with Georgia, so you would assume that they would have gone into it thinking, we're going to beat Georgia, we're going to finish ahead of them and probably get that third place playoff. Raf, what did you think about Czech Republic?
Yeah, I'd agree with Nina. I think disappointing performance from them. Obviously, Patrick Schick is sort of their danger man. He obviously, with Cristiano Ronaldo, won the Golden Boot at Euro 2020. He scored once against Georgia, then sort of hobbled off with an injury a few minutes later, and he just wasn't really looking to be the same threat he was a few years ago. So I just think it wasn't really meant to be. And obviously I know we're going to touch on it, but we can't downplay Georgia's performance throughout the entire group stages.
Totally agree. And Turkey, they were very, very disappointing 3 years ago. They were a lot of people's dark horses going into last Euros. This time, they've done well. They're looking like a good team, and they dealt with the Czech Republic pretty easily, I'd say. So what is it that you like about Turkey, Nina? Is there anything specific that you're a big fan of in that Turkey team?
I think passion probably describes and sums them up incredibly well, because the fans have been absolutely amazing at this tournament. I think it's really helped, sometimes having the fans behind you, creating that atmosphere for you really helps you on the pitch. And I think that's what has happened. Although Turkey also have displayed a lot of quality, there's been individuals that have really stepped up for them. They've also got a pretty young squad as well, which I think, again, is quite incredible coming into this tournament. And, you haven't had that experience at this stage, but you've really made the most of the situation. Arda Güler, who has been probably one of the biggest talking points in this tournament so far. Some great goals from Turkey as well. I think they're really up there with some of the beauties they've scored.
Well, Nina mentioned Arda Güler there, Raf. How high is his ceiling? He's a dangerous player, bit of a menace to play against. So yeah,
I mean,
how far can he go?
I mean, I think the sky is the limit for him. I mean, obviously he didn't play in Turkey's game versus Portugal where they got beat. Obviously played in the other two games where they won. So I think he's definitely the difference. He's shown that he can, drag a team over the line by himself. Obviously he plays for Real Madrid, the biggest club in the world, and with that comes a lot of pressure. But I think he's shown he can put a team on his back. But the only issue is, where's he going to fit into the team? You've obviously got Bellingham, Valverde, Camavinga, Tchouaméni, the list goes on of their young midfielders. And now they have to fit in also playing Vinicius, Mbappe and Rodrigo as well. So, a selection headache is not a bad thing for Ancelotti to have. But, with the performances of Güler in this Euros, it'd be difficult to justify leaving him out. So I think he's got a glistening career ahead of him.
Well, I would argue, Güler, do a Martin Odegaard, come to Arsenal and we'll just look after you, yeah. But we've talked about Turkey, Czech Republic now. We can go on to the big game last night, the big upset. Georgia pulled off one of the greatest Euro upsets of all time by beating Portugal 2-0. Let's go to Jerry Cox in Gelsenkirchen.
Jerry Cox here in Gelsenkirchen. This tournament just keeps delivering great games and great results, and I've been at one tonight. Georgia beat Portugal 2-0. Who'd have seen that one coming? Georgia qualified for the tournament for the very first time, and now they're in the knockout phases, and now they're playing Spain, believe it or not. They beat Portugal. I know Portugal were weakened. They quite a few changes that Roberto Martinez made, but they still had Cristiano Ronaldo up front. He didn't look very happy. He missed a couple of chances. He got subbed. He'd been booked already, and he let his frustration go. But you can't take it away from Georgia. They've got some absolutely world-class players. Without doubt, the keeper of the tournament so far. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name. And the number 7, KK, I call him. What a player he is. He put the first goal away. He went on a couple of amazing dribbles. I think we're seeing a superstar in the making there as well. So, best of luck to Georgia. I mean, who knows? They could cause an upset against Spain if they carry on. And their fans, great atmosphere, a really good night.
Now, Portugal had already topped the group, but they still put out a very, very strong side against Georgia. Here is what Roberto Martinez had to say about the Georgia game after the game.
It is true. I'm sure that scoring early helps, but that probably was the biggest surprise, or the only surprise, that they were able to maintain the level of belief and intensity for 90 minutes, because it was only probably the last 10 minutes where we had 3 clear-cut chances that we should have scored, but not underestimating Georgia at all. I think the coach has done an incredible job, and they deserve the credit today.
So Kvaratskhelia, is that right, Nina?
So it's Khvicha Kvaratskhelia. I've been practicing his
wow.
name.
Yeah, I think I'll just let
If
you
that's
say
wrong,
it.
then that's
yeah.
embarrassing.
So he gave Georgia the lead after 90 seconds thanks to an amazing Mikhail Tadze assist. He had another very, very impressive game, Mikhail Tadze. But they call him Kvaradona for a reason, don't they, Raf?
They do. I mean, the stats speak for themselves, as the SofaScore graphic shows here. Obviously, 82 minutes played, 1 goal, 2 shots on target, 2 successful dribbles, 9 out of 9 passes, and a SofaScore rating of 7.9. So, I mean, he is single-handedly their best player. I mean, why is he such a key player for club and country? I mean, he contributes both goals and assists. He's very comfortable creating those chances, running with the ball, as we saw by those successful dribbles. And he basically can single-handedly drag a team over the line. As he's shown, he was the main reason why Georgia got to this tournament in the first place. And obviously complemented by Mikhail Tadze, who's had an amazing tournament. I know we're going to touch on him a little bit more in a second. But but in terms of where will Kvaratskhelia be next season, I think he's probably still going to be at Napoli. I think there have been a lot of spats going on between his father and the club. And in this instance, he's still under contract and the club always seem to triumph. And I don't think they're going to respect any sort of gentleman's agreement they might have had to let him leave after his father's, been making a lot of noise. When I imagine Kvaratskhelia has just been wanting to play the tournament and enjoy himself, which, to be fair, it looks like he has been.
Nina, you're a big fan of Kvaradona as well?
Kvaradona. Well, yeah, of course. Clearly, if they've named him that, then there is a reason, isn't it? Not everyone gets named after such a legendary player. But yeah, I think what I've loved about Georgia is how fearless they've been in this tournament, really just going for it. And again, like you mentioned earlier, nobody expected that they would be through to the knockouts. And the fact that, you look at the stats with possession, Portugal really had a lot of the ball, but Georgia what they did really well was just hit them on transition, on the break, really quick, rapid on the counter. And Mikhail Zetze and Kvaratskhelia had very good chemistry, I think, up front, pace, just incredible technique, really.
Well, let's hear from the man himself.
Moment for me, but today I am the happiest because when you are playing for your country, when you wear the badge of your country, it makes you so proud. But of course I was the happiest at Scudetto, but I am also happiest today, and this is the best day in my life because it was more difficult to do it with the Georgian team than with the Napoli team. That was my dream, and this was also my dream.
Best day of his life. That's high praise. What a time. Hopefully he has no children, otherwise he might be getting in trouble at home. But Mikhail Tadze added to his assist with a goal from the penalty spot. These were his stats from yesterday. Minutes played 90, goals 1, assists 1, shots 1 and 1 on target, key passes 2, dribbles successful 6, dribbles and 3 successful, and a SofaScore rating of 7.4. He was really, really key to what Georgia, anything good that Georgia did. Obviously, he is now the Euro 2024 top goal scorer. Raf, did you predict that?
I did. I remember the podcast just before Turkey and Georgia played. I remember, Freddie, you were here. I spent about 10 minutes trying to work out how to pronounce his name because I thought he would be a bit of a danger man. And yeah, I mean, he scored 3 goals and contributed 1 assist for Georgia this group stage. He's been incredible, slightly taking the spotlight away from Kvaratskhelia bar last night. But I think, a lot of teams will be watching. He's scored 38 goals and 64 appearances for Metz in Ligue 1. And I think, yeah, he's a very good player.
So did you think it was a penalty?
I think it's a very, very harsh penalty to be given. I mean, I'm not going to complain because it gives England quite a nice chance and a good draw. But yeah, I mean, as we said earlier, if they're going to be giving penalties like that, I'm sure we'll smash the penalty record that was set at the last Euros.
Fair enough. And Nina, from a Portugal perspective, they did top the group and did play a weaker team, but did you see anything that was worrying about the Portugal team, or do you still have them down as pretty high favourites to win this tournament?
I have them pretty high up still, and I took no worry whatsoever from that Portuguese performance because I know that Martinez wanted to suss out some of his other players. He's got so much squad depth and so much talent at his disposal that he just simply wanted to see, how your João Felix, your Pedro Netos, your João Neves kind of fit into this team, because moving forwards, we all know that in knockouts, substitutions can win you a game. They're very important. And when you take out quality, what quality can you add in? Essentially, is the big question. So it's not a cause for concern. I think we know what Portugal's best team, Martinez's best 11 can do. And, you look at, and I'm sure we'll talk about him, João Palhinha, someone who played with your Bruno Fernandes and your Vitinhas the previous game. It does make a difference really with the players you have around you. But for me, it was no cause for concern. If anything, I just think Georgia were pretty incredible.
Well, one of those players that didn't have a great game for Portugal was João Palhinha. He was substituted at halftime for the second game in a row. Didn't start the first game. Obviously, we know him from the Premier League. Raf, is there something wrong there? Is he just not fitting in?
Yeah, I think in all honesty, it just doesn't seem to be working out. Obviously enjoyed a stellar season with Fulham, and he's finally got his move to Bayern Munich after it fell through sort of last summer. I think it seems that sometimes some players work in one system and can't really adapt to another, and it sort of seems like that might be the case. But that being said, if Martinez can find a way to get the best out of João Palhinha, then he's going to be an invaluable player for them as they sort of progress through this tournament. But that being said, if he's playing maybe not in his best, well, maybe not position, but he's just being a bit ineffective within the system, then I think it'd probably be better to go a different direction. I know we'll touch on it in a little bit, but I feel like that probably is the same with England. Even if you want to get your most talented players on the pitch. But if they're out of position, sometimes it might be better to go with somebody who's naturally fitted to that position and maybe a little bit less talented.
Okay, well, another player that was taken off, Nina, was Cristiano Ronaldo. You think that was because he wasn't performing in the game, or was it because he was having a bit of a strop and maybe Martinez was worried about him picking up another booking?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both. I mean, I previously on our last show, we talked about Ronaldo and how I thought he would be a key piece of Portuguese's puzzle moving forwards. And I still think that, although I was a bit disappointed with perhaps how he handled himself on the pitch, he was very visibly disappointed with a lot of things that happened on the pitch. But the whole point, like I previously mentioned, was seeing these other younger players, and he should really be setting an example and perhaps not struffing as much as he did. And it's silly, really, and Ronaldo should know better because he got booked. That potentially could cost you a game in the next sort of knockout game. So I'm not too sure about that. I would have liked him perhaps to not react the way he did. Although I think he is just disappointed he's not scored yet. It's obviously frustrating for a player like Ronaldo.
And that's probably why Ronaldo is Ronaldo as well. He is just so ultra competitive that he does lose his head at points. But just to round off Georgia versus Portugal and the miracle that happened last night, here is a nice clip, heartwarming clip of the Georgian players celebrating in the mix zone. So that wraps up all the group stage games. And this is currently how the round of 16 has shaped up. So we have Spain playing Georgia. It's going to be another one. Can they do another giant killing Georgia?
I don't think so. I think this is a little bit too much of a David versus Goliath situation. Spain have won all three. They haven't conceded. Yeah, I think it's going to be a run-of-the-mill win.
I think I'll agree. Germany, Denmark, I think we'll probably all agree that Germany will probably win that, but you never know. Denmark could cause an upset there. Then Portugal versus Slovenia. What do you think about this one, Nina? Could that
Portugal,
be an upset?
I think Portugal. I thought Slovenia, might trouble them with defence, but I think Portugal have way too much talent.
Yeah. And then France versus Belgium. Two teams that have flattered to deceive so far this tournament. Haven't really hit their stride. What are we thinking here? Do you think France get it done, or can Belgium pull something out of the bag, Graf?
I think France get it done. I think they have too much quality against quite a lackluster Belgian team, unless a miracle happens and Lukaku suddenly scores a hat-trick, which I wouldn't put it past him. But I think that'll be one of the better games. But you can't write off any of these games, can you?
I'll have to agree with you on that one. I think France will take that. And then Romania versus the Netherlands. Nina, what are you thinking about this one?
You know what? I think somewhere in these games there's got to be an upset. And I don't know if Romania could beat Netherlands, but I think they can give them a really good go. And I just think that Netherlands have lacked a little bit of quality, perhaps haven't performed to their top abilities. And I think Romania, sometimes passion in these games really does come through and just going for it.
Well, a lot of people are happy that the Netherlands avoided England at this stage, but maybe we'll see that down the line in the semi-final, or maybe Romania will be going to the semi-final. Austria versus Turkey. Austria being a team that have impressed quite a lot of people in this tournament. Ralf Rangnick getting a lot of credit. They obviously topped the Netherlands versus France group. Raf, do you think Austria win this one, or do Turkey have a good chance?
I think it'll be quite a high-scoring affair. Austria have scored 6 goals. Turkey have scored 5 throughout the group stages. I think probably Austria have shown, that they're very comfortable. Ralf Rangnick has sort of set his team up very bravely, playing very high, and they've been a very good watch. So I think probably Austria, but I think Turkey will give them a good game.
Now, we'll come on to England versus Slovakia, but just to round this graphic off, Switzerland versus Italy. What are we thinking here, Raf? Is that going to be a simple one for Italy?
For me, I think this is the upset game. I think, Switzerland unbeaten in the group and obviously held Germany to a draw. Germany were very lucky to secure that as a draw, with Füllkrug scoring the equaliser in the 92nd minute. Italy haven't hit the ground running. It was a bit of a cagey affair against Albania, a little bit scary for them in the last few minutes. They were lucky to scrape a draw versus Croatia with a 98th minute equaliser, and obviously lost to Spain. So I think Switzerland have a very good chance of beating the reigning champions.
All right, well, let's discuss England. Let's talk about England. Obviously, there's been a lot of noise around the performances, but We out in Germany have got a training clip of England doing some yoga and relaxing, blocking out all the noise.
A little bit of the forest bathing idea. We're going to get outside, got beautiful sunshine, clear blue skies. We're going to take some of that sun energy into ourselves, get those rays on our skin, and we're going to use the breath to feel at ease, taking some of that energy from the morning air. To the side, that's it. Take a twist with your arms, hands traveling upwards, and you're going to lean back, greet the sky. So the chest moves up to the sky. Use that back foot for your balance. Coming back up, you're going to hinge in the hip.
Well, let's round this off with some England chat. So, what do we think of England's chances in this game against Slovakia, Raf? Do you think they can do it?
I mean, I think they should do it. I think Southgate needs to get a selection right. I mean, obviously Foden is obviously back in England at the moment. I think to see the birth of his third child. So congratulations to him. But that being said, I think I don't know if he's going to be back with us. I think he's meant to be back with the squad before the game. But I think I would like to see Anthony Gordon get some minutes on. Well, I'd like to see Anthony Gordon start out on the left, and I'd like actually to see Cole Palmer out on the right. He looks very impressive in that sort of 20-25 minute cameo he had the other day. And I think should Southgate get the selection right, we should have no problem. But you never know with England.
Nina, you back in England?
Echoing exactly what Ralph says, ending with that crucial, you never know with England. But this is a time where Southgate just needs to be brave, and he's seen enough now from some of his subs. Hopefully that calls for a little bit more change. But I think ultimately us England fans are just really crying out for some good football to be played here. And I know that getting through further is obviously the most important thing, but I still want us to perform better. And, you know, Slovakia have really good defence. If we don't make those runs in behind, if we don't try and unlock their defence, if we're just constantly sat back and deep, then I don't really know how we get through.
Let's hope it's not another monumental upset like Iceland. Fingers crossed. Well, that's all for today. We will be back on Saturday when knockout football commences again. Enjoy your Friday with no football.